And we're talking to author Andrew Samsel, the series of books Castle Reef Bloodlines, and Castle Reef Legacy on the line with us right now. And first of all, I don't call you Andrew, I call you Drew because I've known you most of my life. And how are you, Drew?
That's right. I am doing great, and I so appreciate the opportunity.
Tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? And tell us a little bit about your journey into becoming an author.
I'm in Oklahoma. I've lived here 23 years, but before that, I'm just going backwards now. So we spent some time in Indiana. I was in ministry school in Oklahoma, and then before that, I was in North Carolina. Then we moved from New Jersey to North Carolina. Then I was originally from Ohio. So it's kind of a circular deal going around there. Born in Ohio, then New Jersey, went to high school and some college there, and that's where I met you.
And I met you back in 1975, and we both shared a great English teacher, and this is, I think, maybe a little bit of the origin of you becoming an author. Tell us about the Green Book.
The Green Book. Actually, before we had this conversation, I was thinking about those because I found those books up in the attic over my garage because I said I have attributed those Green Books to be kind of an inspiration to get me started actually in writing. I looked them up and I thought it was the same teacher for both of the Green Books that I had, and I think it was our junior and senior year. Those are the ones I had. They're two different teachers, and one was more lean. She's the one I think who kind of got it started. She was more she was more relaxed, more into the creative side of things.
Yes.
And our senior year teacher, she was more strict, but through writing in those Green Books, the rule of the Green Book thing was they could correct you, but they wouldn't hold it against you. It was like free thought, The teacher, and you know who I'm talking about, the senior year teacher, she was really strict, but by the end of the year, we broke her down,
I remember it well, and I remember that it's so true what you said, because with these Green Books, I was always I couldn't spell to save my life. And she would say, don't worry about it. Just give me the thought. Just write for writing's sake. And that's probably the only time in my life that I ever wrote. But you, on the other hand, that was like the catalyst for your writing career. And at what point did you say, I could start writing novels like the Castle Reef series?
There's a lot of time between that and present. You have a dramatic background in theater, and I, pursued that myself. We always did skits and all kinds of stuff together. I mean, we got stories that are just crazy, I know. Writing weird, crazy fantasy fiction stories in these Green Books, it's just the way I think. It's just like when I meet people, I see situations, you just kind of log it in your mind. And back then, in the 70s and even through the 80s, we didn't have all the stuff that we have today as far as technology and ways to express that. So we just write stuff, do skits and whatever. So I've always looked at life like I see people, meet people, and I always kind of save them, log them into my brain like that would be a great character someday. And this evolution of all this process of becoming a writer, I never was like, I want to be a writer. Actually, it was like the furthest thing from my mind. I like to see life like almost through movies. I love music. I love movies. I do read. Most of the time, it's just kind of getting those experiences through life, and we all have them up and down, and so many different relationships that people you meet. Actually, where I'm at right now with this trilogy, it started with a challenge from my wife, because she says, you always have these ideas, you're always talking about them. And she says, well, just don't talk about it, do something about it, do it. So I took the challenge and I just did it.
I think it's great. We're talking, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to author Andrew Samsel, the Castle Reef series. I think it's great. So Susan, she inspired you into taking action on some of these ideas, because I do remember you always writing, and we did a lot of skits, we did a lot of shows, and you also wrote music. You wrote lyrics. You wrote, you did a lot of stuff. You were very creative. And so this was an opportunity for your wife, who great inspiration to you, to say, start getting serious about this and put pen to paper. And you did. Now, how long ago did you first come up with the concept of Castle Reef and then actually start writing about it?
We went on vacation and we were at the beach, East Coast. Kind of, it's not written by name in the trilogy, but there's so many little hints in there as far as location and geography that I kind of left it as a mystery. So on a summer vacation in 2019, it was in, I think, the month of June, laying on the beach, just looking out, and I see this shark fin protrude out of the water, pretty big, and I was like, whoa. And then I told my wife about it, and we're looking. Of course, you don't see it again, and everybody's just on the beach, just doing their thing. So I just laid back down. You know how you get those vacation sleeps. You're just kind of laying there, half in and half out. Well, I just started formulating this story in my head, and I don't know, it was probably an hour or so, just kind of laying there. And then I got up, and I just started sharing with my wife what this story was about. And she's like looking at me, and that's when she challenged me to do something about it.
I love that. There's a whole history, and it's like you said, it's not just like one incident that happened, but it's a lot of things that got you to this point. At what point did you feel like, yeah, this is who I am, this I can write? Because you've got this, it's a trilogy. Each book is really, you can read each book on its own. It works perfectly, but with the trilogy, it's like, it comes together like a great big puzzle. Did you know when you were writing the first novel that there was going to be a second part and a third part?
No, not at all. I just thought, hey, I'm going to do a one and done, just write the book, and there you go. So after that, I came back and just started writing down some notes because I've never done this before. And I didn't want to, be the cookie cutter, go online, see how to write a book. I just kind of just wrote down notes and kind of put them in order, and got some feedback through my son, daughter-in-law, just giving them this idea, and they're going, wow, that's great, you should do it. And, that was about 6 months. So January 2020, I made a New Year's resolution that I would do this, and I didn't know the whole COVID thing would happen. So
right.
That actually kind of worked in my advantage. I still was working, but society shutting down to a degree. It gave me more time as I was writing all this stuff, and I didn't really know how to write. My wife is really good at this, and actually she's kind of, with her work, she teaches kids to read and stuff. So I'm writing down these stories starting and everything. She's like, honey, I think we need to have a little lesson on and how to. So she really helped me. And then once I got started, kind of got in the flow. And then I realized once I started the first book, there was no way I could finish it all in one book unless it was like, Lord of the Rings, 5 miles thick.
Yeah.
It's just, there was no way to do that. You see a lot of these books, they just kind of, let's just leave them hanging because I want to write another book. But I just had to, and I didn't even know that the third one even would be in the works. I thought, hey, it would take 2 to get this done, but I wanted to develop the characters and, keep the story going. And I write like a movie. I don't write, it's like scene to scene. It keeps you going,
You've had to do a bunch of research on it too, because some of your descriptions, I feel like you had, there's a lot of science involved in a lot of this, and I feel like you did some really good research on it, because it all comes across as 100% factual. And your character development, which we'll get into in a series of these interviews, we're talking to, if you're just tuning in, Andrew Samsel with the Castle Reef trilogy of books. We're finding out more about his life story. We will come back with another episode. We'll find out more about how difficult it was to start the first novel, getting into the second and third. Drew, we'll just take a break, and we'll be back with more, and I appreciate you. I'm Allen Garrett. The Castle Reef trilogy is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart Online, Books A Million, Audiobook, Spotify, and more.